Greetings everybody, this is Leviathan here, and today I'm doing a update on Season 24. It's been a while since I've done one of these, and it's actually been a while since I posted anything to the YouTube channel, so thank you for sticking with it if you've been looking for content. I kind of took a break from making videos because I wanted to focus more solely on the game, more purely on the game, and just trying to make a lot of progress. And well, now we're about 50 plus days into the season. I think we just had the end of the 7th week this past Friday. Today is Monday, September 13th, as I'm recording this. And I figured it was a good enough time to check in because actually we're at a slump in the season, I would say. Kind of like that middle part of the season where not like a lot of people are kind of falling off that were playing a lot. Or you're struggling to keep the motivation to keep playing if you're trying to like play through the whole season. I'm definitely falling into the latter camp, and I think this video will focus on sort of like the feelings of dealing with that, like burning out, how to survive through it. Definitely looking for any tips that people have with how they cope with dealing with long-term goals and having some like lack of motivation or lack of inspiration in the middle of trying to get to those end goals. But just to kind of summarize so far, this season has been really great. First and foremost, it's been a really fun season. The Ethereals are still really fun to chase. Even this deep into the season, I'm still looking for that perfect Ethereal. I've definitely got a few great ones for a bunch of different builds I want to eventually do. My goal, well, this is sort of like a goal slash not goal, but just something I kind of thought of as I was doing a lot of demon hunting, is that I'm collecting all these other sets that usually I don't play because I'm not a big fan of like Marauder or whatever. But since we have all these cool Ethereals, I figured I'd keep my eye out for some of those, and if I find any good ones for those builds, I try to just play those builds and see if I can get like a nice high clear. So my now new goal, or like added goal, is to clear every leaderboard, put a clear on every demon hunter leaderboard. So whether, it's a rank 100 or rank 10 or rank 1 or whatever, just to try to make something competitive of it. I've since then, deciding to do that, gotten a ton of augment gems. I think I have 78 now, 6 times 13 basically. Augment gems all at rank 130 or so. I'd like to take those higher if possible. It's still early in the season. My plan is to push those right at the end. So once we get that 2-week warning that the season's going to be over, then I'll go and make an attempt on just doing a whole bunch of those different leaderboards. Should make things interesting, mix it up a little bit, some different play styles. But until then, we're just going to be grinding. I can pull up here my profile for the season so far. So we're at Paragon 4246, so almost 4,250. It's slowed down a lot because I've been playing a lot more solo now. Groups have been a lot harder to come by, unfortunately. And for me, one of the added caveats is that I don't like to play with random people really, because it's just hard, especially in hardcore, to know who you can trust, who's gonna like play the same way you do. And with all the different sorts of like third-party things out there, I don't want any involvement with any of that. So I don't trust a lot of players. And also, I think there's something to be said with playing with like your friends or players that you've played with for a long time, because you kind of have that understanding of like trust and saving each other if the worst case scenario happens and whatnot. Usually it's a lot easier to get into comms with those people and stuff. So in any case, already limited pool of people to play with just from those rules at the outset. And then the players that I do have in that small bubble, all have different ambitions and different motivations of their own. And so, one of the questions I've been getting a decent amount is, hey, did you guys clear the group 150 yet? And we have not. The group that I initially started that push out with, we're very gung-ho for it. It felt like we had a lot of steam headed into our attempts. We had a bunch of really close 150s. I think our best ended up being like a 1503, so like barely missing. And then I think a bunch of stuff just happened at a simultaneous moment where attempts just stopped happening, and then it never resumed. And so that was a little unfortunate. And I think that's actually the beginning of where my story currently is at, where losing that goal, or that like momentum to chase that goal, really brought a lot of things to a halt. And what's completely strange for me is that it wasn't even one of my initial goals. I didn't have like a clear GR 150 in a group on my list of like, I need to hit this to achieve one of my goals in the season. It's kind of just a byproduct, I think, of, oh yeah, I'm going to be playing groups this season. We're going to be playing a lot, so you know, hopefully in there we would be doing some high tier GRs with groups. And once it became a reality that we could do it, it was really exciting. But to lose, like to be at the finish line and then not finish it, I don't know, it took a lot of the wind out of my sails. And I kind of only came to that realization relatively recently that right after that sort of fell apart was when my motivation to play started to fall apart as well too. I mean, it was also at a part of the season where it had been about a month of just really hard grinding. So I think there's also some baggage there of just getting to that burnout point a little bit, or that point of like, okay, let's relent. Let's ease off of the gas pedal a little bit. And so I tried to work in some breaks for myself, like to not lose too much contact with the game, but at least scale back the amount I was playing a little bit to hopefully let my body recover, get more sleep, things like that. And I still haven't really gotten the fire back, and it's a little concerning to me because I do have my very big long-term goals. Like I want to get to Paragon 5000. I want to try to clear GR 150 solo, but seemingly for the Demon Hunter, that's going to be the one that requires like the most input in terms of grind. And I feel like I am grinding, but not as much as I hoped I would be. So I'm not sure I'll make that goal, at least to do a 150 GR solo on Demon Hunter, but the Monk has done it already in the season for hardcore, and that seems pretty capable. And Monk was one of the classes I was kind of considering as a side project, so maybe if I chase that goal down, it'll be the Monk. But I feel like I might have to make some concessions and some, like, I don't know, it hurts my pride a little bit to be like, I set these goals and I didn't achieve them. I think one thing that I might learn as a lesson from this is that you should set your goals to the capability of what you can personally do. And what I mean by that is, even though I knew I was going to play in groups so that my ability couldn't, like if, in the best case scenario, which is what I was kind of like considering, if groups stuck together and played really hard all season long, then like all my goals would be pretty easy to achieve, I felt. But I didn't consider the worst case scenario where I'd be signing up to play groups, but then not have groups for like the majority of the season. And so with that in mind, I feel like I should have set my goals at like whatever I could have possibly done solo, and then like have a, you know, like a golden goal, if you will, of like if everything goes perfectly, then this is what we would really get to. So I'm going to reevaluate. Like I don't know if I'll get to 5K. It is doable solo, but it requires like so much of my time that I'm not sure that I can give it to the season at this point. This is just me kind of thinking through these things. This is a different kind of video, I guess, of me just thinking out loud, but would love to just hear in the comments too how you guys have been doing with the season, where your head is at, if you're done already, how you persevere through setbacks and like, you know, mental blocks and things like that, because anything that I read could potentially help me get through my sort of Diablo 3 block at the moment, I guess. That being said, though, I have looted 815 ethereals so far, so that's pretty cool. And I only need 2 more from the full list. And they're actually both monk ones for whatever reason. I just need Jade Talon and Shadow Killer. So that's 19 of the 21 looted, all while playing Demon Hunter. I actually didn't show the hours, but I've only been playing Demon Hunter. I have almost 500 hours now, Demon Hunter. And then, you know, the 35 minutes of Monk, 25 minutes of Necro, 6 minutes of Wizard. These are all kind of created. The Monk was created because I did, like I was saying, plan to maybe do a Monk as a secondary character. The Necro is there to reforge amulets. So for those of you that don't know, Necromancer has a limited pool of elements that they have for their class. So it's cold, physical, and poison. So if you want to reroll for any of those elements, it's actually the most likely outcome, since the pool is so limited, to get one of those, compared to if you're on a Demon Hunter that has cold, fire, physical, lightning. That's 3 elements versus 4. So it just makes, you know, potentially getting like a cold squirts much easier on the Necro than it would be on the Demon Hunter. So there's a little tip for you there. And then the Wizard was created initially to just get a bow from leveling 1 to 70, since you can get a juicy level reduced bow that doesn't have discipline in the secondary pool. I did have some deaths as well this season so far. We've had 3. Oh, and I guess I never mentioned, but for the group pushing for the 4-player, the highest that we did get was a 149. I guess that makes sense, right? If we said we were trying 150s and came pretty close, then we did get a 149 down, so that was cool. For my solo, I do have my highest clear that I've ever done which is a 141 and a very fast time, 1141. I don't think I recorded this. The leaderboards are looking pretty good. people making decent progress. I haven't pushed in a long time. I forget when I cleared this. This was August 19th, so it's almost been a month. And my plan right now is to not really focus too much on this. Like, it's nice to be on the front page. I don't really feel any compulsion to push at the moment. I would want to try to get everything as good as possible and like leave it to the last bit of the season to go for it. So that way, I'm not really risking, you know, really good gear and augments and gems and all that to just the whims of trying to push just to push, but instead try to get that highest clear like right at the end of the season. So I figure I'm just going to keep concentrating on getting my Paragon higher. And then once that, again, 2-week warning rolls around, start pushing everything, including for our overall rank, and just try to get as close to that 150 for solo DH like I was saying. Yeah, so we did rip. We had 3 rips throughout the season. I actually have some videos here. We can show them and talk about them too. So the first one was really early in the season, 2 months ago, according to this clip. This was a 3-player GR for speeds. I got procced on these fire grates, and then I was thinking like I should just TP out, but then out of the corner of my eye, I saw that the elites had mortar. So I was kind of scared that they might mortar and drop one on my head, and if I didn't have my defensive buffs up, that I would not be able to get out, or that I would take a hit that would maybe kill me. So I was trying to keep my buffs up, and then there's a spinner here as well, and these spinners, they can reflect your projectiles back at you. So it makes it really difficult to want to fire out any projectiles, which I would have wanted to in order to keep defensive bonuses up and all that stuff. So it was just like a really very hairy, terrible situation. This was the opening weekend of the season, I believe, on that Sunday. So that one was a rough death, but again, it happened so early that we didn't really lose anything, so that wasn't too bad. That was early speed farming group stuff. And the only thing that I lost from that I haven't replaced so far is this Squirts necklace. It was insanely juicy. I actually have this imager that I'm keeping of all the juicy finds that I've gotten this season. And you can see it's the very first item that we found that ended up in this gallery. It was an insane necklace, and so that was what we lost in that death. I'll put a link to this gallery in the video description in case you want to look through any of these items. There's some good stuff here. But I haven't replaced this yet. Everything else that I lost in that death I replaced because it was just early season gear. But that was a tough one to handle. And then we have this death, which is from the group pushing. You can see it's a GR 150 that we were going for. We got a woods opener first floor, and it was looking really nice. And the thing to, I guess, note with the Firebird Wizard is if you pull big amounts and you ignite them, then you can really lock up the server, lock up the game. In this pull, we really didn't think that we had pulled that much. Like, we were looking at some of the different scenarios that we had in the past. And we had pulled bigger groups than this, but for whatever reason, I think it was this combo, plus the servers just maybe not being as hot as they, or I guess as solid, I should say, as they had been in the past. Or at least the rest of that night, and we just lost full control of the game. So you can see here, I'm just like spamming keys, but at this point, the server was catching up to everything that had happened during the freeze of not being able to control our characters completely. And so I'd already been told that I died, so my hands are off the keyboard at this point. I'm just letting the game catch up to see that, yep, you did indeed die. And so it's a kind of crappy death because you just watch yourself die, and there's nothing you can really do about it. This was, at least for me, not that big of a setback because it was a support DH. We were doing the tri-support setup with the Z-Monk, Z-Barb, ZDH, and then the Firebird Wizard. And so that death was just one of those ones where you can't do anything. You know, you just sit there and you hope that people survive. The biggest key would have been if the Wizard survived, because you can lose supports and it's no problem. But if you lose your DPS, then that's tough because they have to rebuild. They lose good gems, augments, all that stuff, right? So that was the toughest part of that. But that was early in our pushes for 150, and then we came back stronger after that to make some, like I was mentioning earlier in the video, some potentially super close attempts. And then this death was the stupidest one I had by far so far this season. This is a solo push where I was doing 141. And you'll notice that I did beat 141. This was that was in a rebuild after this death, but this one I was just doing, I think it was like right before a work meeting, so I was kind of trying to like rush through. I just really stupidly in my head was like, I need to just get the clear and get it done. I had tons of time on the timer, as you can see. I had procced my follower cheat death, and that was initially from trying to test if the terrain would block the Rizel's like holy 360 attack. It turns out it didn't. It was a terrain piece that I wasn't sure if it blocked it or not, because ideally what you want to do when Ryzel does that attack is just stand between, like put a rock in between where you are, and the rock will stop the impact of that attack, so it gives you like a safe spot to stand. But for whatever reason, I just didn't find a good spot for that in this fight. You can see we're close to the exit to the next floor. Like there were so many things that I just didn't think about doing properly in this. There you can see I was trying to go, so my thought process when that attack comes out is to go far away, because the attack spreads out, gives it's a cone effect. So the further out you are, then the more space you have in between each shot to dodge. But when you're strafing, it can be tough to really control your character. So I was out far, but I just misstrafed basically and got hit by that. So now you can see I'm double procced, and that's 60 seconds on both basically. Like we're halfway through the 2-minute proc of the followers, just proc the my standard chi death. So at this point, I should have left. At this point, I should have just been like, okay, we're double procced. He can literally one-shot us, so why are you staying in? But you can see he's so close to dying. That was so sketchy right there. I dodged it, but man, that was just so sketch. So I should have just like left this. Even when that happened, I should have just left it. But here you can see I'm trying to find just like a good spot to play this from, so I can do what I was mentioning, that have terrain between me and the boss. But here's where I was trying to find it. I don't know why I strafed back to the right, because if I kept going to the left, I would have dodged it again. But just control, panic, all those things kind of factor in there. So that was the toughest loss by far, because we were deeper into the season. I was in my push setup, so I had really good gear, high level gems. I think I had 150 gems at that point. So I lost some big stuff there. I actually haven't. Well, like I said, I did clear the 141 after that, so obviously I've gotten stuff back, but I don't have 150 gems again, because again, we haven't pushed up to the high tier 4-player GRs again. I think for the most part, I recovered everything in there that I lost in terms of gear and such. But yeah, that one stung for a while. And that was like middle of August, I want to say. So, you know, it's been like a month or so since that one. But yeah, that's been basically the tale of Season 24 thus far. Caught you guys up to what I've been up to. Again, trying to struggle through, just not feeling as motivated to play right now. I know what I need to do to get to 5K, and I have these like short process goals I like to hit like daily or weekly, but right now it's just not enough to motivate me. So I'm just trying to play whenever I feel inspired to do it. I want to create some content, and maybe that'll help. I don't know. I figured just reaching out, letting you guys know where I'm at would be helpful. But in any case, you know, I'm trying to get some streams going when I can. That's another thing that's taken a hit in not playing as consistently means not streaming as consistently as well too. So all that to say, I appreciate you guys for sticking with me and watching the videos and everything like that. It helps a lot. I love the community that we've built here. Hope you guys have been having a great season. Again, hop into the comments, communicate with me, let me know how you've been doing. Maybe we'll get some inspiration from what everyone else is up to, and we can chat it up. So yeah, until next video, thank you for watching this one, and I will catch you on the flip side. Adios for now.